my dearest Abelard, could read or hear these things and not be moved to tears. What then must be my situation? The singular precision with which each event is stated could but more strongly renew my sorrows. I was doubly agitated because I perceived the tide of mortal danger was still rising against you. Are we then to despair of your life? And must our breasts, trembling at every sound, be hourly alarmed by the rumors of that terrible event? If I lose you, what have I to hope for? You are my only comfort. Deprived of that, shall I still drag on my miserable pilgrimage? But even in you, what comfort have I, save only the thought that you are still living? All other joys are forbidden to me. I may not be allowed to see you, that my soul may sometimes at least return to my bosom. I will disclose to you all the secret weakness of my unhappy heart. Tell me then, can I hope to appease the divine anger? I, who at every moment am charging heaven with cruelty. My murmurs, they draw on me greater vengeance. The sorrow, at least, of such a penitent will not avert it. Why do I talk of penitence, while the mind retains all its former attachments to sin? What avails the external language of grief? It is indeed easy to confess one's faults. It is easy to put on the imposing garb of penitence. But, oh God, how hard it is to tear the mind from those affections which were once so dear. For this moment, for this reason, when the holy Job had said, I will loosen my tongue to speak against myself, that is, I will accuse myself of my faults, I will confess my sins, he immediately adds, I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. These words, the Blessed Gregory has expounded. There are many, says he, who readily acknowledge their faults, but they do not know what it is to grieve. What should be a subject of tears, they relate with a face of joy. How rare this penitential sorrow is, St. Ambrose has also told us. I have found more, says he, who have preserved their innocence than who have recovered it by penitence. So fascinating were the pleasures we once indulged. The thought of them cannot give me pain, nor can I efface their impression. Wherever I turn my eyes, in all their charms they are present to me. Even in my dreams, the dear memories hover round me. During services, when the soul, on the wings of prayer, should rise more pure to heaven, the same ideas haunt my soul. They seize every avenue to my heart. When I should grieve for what is past, I only sigh that the same pleasures return no more. My mind has been too faithful to its impressions. It holds up to my fantasies every circumstance of pleasure, and all the scenes of past joy play before me. I know the strong workings of my mind even betray themselves in my body, in my actions. I am heard to utter words which escape unthinkingly from my lips. How wretched is my condition. To me surely may be applied those plaintive expressions of the apostle. Miserable mortal that I am, who will free me from this body's death? Could I but add with truth the grace of God through Jesus Christ our Lord. I have to combat the fervor of youth, and that burning flame which the indulgence of pleasure has raised within me. They who cannot look into my soul think me virtuous. They think me chaste, because my external actions are such. When surely this amiable virtue only dwells within the mind. The world may praise me, but before God I am worthless. He's the searcher of hearts, and his eyes penetrate into my inmost thoughts. I'm deemed virtuous in an age when religion too generally wears the cloak of hypocrisy. Through the whole course of my life, heaven knows what have been my dispositions. It was you, Abelard, and not God whom I feared most to offend. You, and not God, I was most anxious to please. My mind, still unaltered. It was not love of him, but solely your command that drew me to the cloister. How miserable, then, if my condition, after undergoing so much, I have no prospect of a reward hereafter. By external show, you, like others, have been deceived. You ascribe to the impressions of religion what sprang from another source. Thus you recommend yourself to my prayers in finding that succor which I look for from you. By that God, then, to whom your life is consecrated, I conjure you, give me so much of yourself as is at your disposal. That is, send me some lines of consolation. Do it with this design, at least, that my mind, being more at ease, I may serve God with more alacrity. When formerly the love of pleasure was your pursuit, how often did I hear from you? In your songs, the name of Heloise was made familiar to every tongue. The walls of every house repeated it. With how much greater propriety might you now call me to God than you did then to pleasure? Weigh your obligations. Think on my petition. I have written you a long letter, but my conclusion shall be short. My only love, farewell.